Yes, a receptacle outlet can be used as a distribution point and receiving point for a cord and plug switch, as described. The primary intended purpose of a receptacle is to provide a convenient and safe connection point for electrical cords and devices. However, the National Electrical Code, referred to as NEC, does not explicitly prohibit using a receptacle as a distribution point or receiving point for a cord and plug switch. The NEC requires that receptacles be installed in a manner that minimizes the risk of shock and fire hazard. This includes ensuring that receptacles are securely mounted and properly grounded, wiring connections are tight and not damaged, and overcurrent protection is provided for the receptacle circuit. When using a receptacle as a distribution point, it is important to consider the following. Firstly, load capacity. The receptacle must have a sufficient amperage rating to handle the load of the connected devices. Secondly, receptacle type. Use a receptacle designed for use with cord and plug switches, such as a non-locking duplex receptacle. Thirdly, wiring. Ensure that the wiring connections are properly made and secured. Fourthly, grounding. The receptacle must be properly grounded to protect against electrical shock. Fifthly, access. The receptacle should be located in an accessible location for maintenance and troubleshooting. There may be valid reasons for using a receptacle as a distribution point, such as firstly, flexibility. It allows for easy reconfiguration or replacement of devices without the need for rewiring. Secondly, convenience. It provides a convenient connection point for multiple devices or appliances. Thirdly, safety. When used properly, it can minimize the risk of shock or fire hazards. While not considered a primary intended purpose, it is permissible to use a receptacle outlet as a distribution point and receiving point for a cord and plug switch. However, it is important to follow the NEC requirements and consider factors such as load capacity, wiring, and grounding to ensure a safe and reliable installation. Consider the electrical load. This is the amount of electrical current, measured in amps, that the device connected to the receptacle will draw. The receptacle must be rated to handle this load safely. Check the receptacle's amperage rating, which is usually printed on the receptacle itself. Make sure that the total load of all connected devices does not exceed this rating. Overloading a receptacle can cause it to overheat and potentially start a fire. Understand the different types of receptacles. Standard duplex receptacles are commonly used for general-purpose applications. However, for use with cord and plug switches, a non-locking duplex receptacle is recommended. These receptacles have a more robust design and are better suited for frequent plugging and unplugging. Pay close attention to wiring connections. Proper wiring is crucial for the safe and reliable operation of a receptacle. Ensure that all wiring connections are made correctly and are securely tightened. Loose or faulty connections can cause arcing, overheating, and potential fire hazards. Use appropriately sized wires for the circuit. The wire gauge must be adequate to handle the amperage of the circuit. Refer to the NEC Table 310.15b16 for ampacity ratings of conductors. Never use undersized wires, as they can overheat and cause a fire. Focus on grounding. Grounding is an essential safety feature that protects against electrical shock. The receptacle must be properly grounded to provide a path for fault current to flow back to the source, tripping the circuit breaker and energizing the circuit. Ensure that the grounding conductor is properly connected to the receptacle's grounding terminal and to the building's grounding system. Accessible location. The receptacle should be located in an accessible location for maintenance and troubleshooting. This allows for easy inspection, testing, and repair of the receptacle and its wiring. Avoid installing receptacles in locations that are difficult to reach or that are obstructed by furniture or other objects. Be aware of flexibility in reconfiguration. Using a receptacle as a distribution point allows for easy reconfiguration or replacement of devices without the need for rewiring. This can be particularly useful in situations where equipment needs to be moved or replaced frequently. However, it is important to ensure that any changes to the configuration are made safely and in accordance with the NEC requirements. Review convenience for multiple devices. A receptacle provides a convenient connection point for multiple devices or appliances. This can be particularly useful in areas where there are limited outlets available. However, it is important to avoid overloading the receptacle by connecting too many devices at once. Use a power strip with built-in overload protection to help prevent overloading. Consider safety and minimizing the risk of shock or fire hazards. When used properly, a receptacle can minimize the risk of shock or fire hazards. However, it is important to follow all safety precautions and to ensure that the receptacle is properly installed and maintained. Regularly inspect the receptacle for any signs of damage or wear, and replace it if necessary. The NEC provides specific requirements for the installation and use of receptacles. These requirements are designed to ensure the safety of people and property. It is important to be familiar with these requirements and to follow them carefully. The NEC is updated every 3 years, so it is important to stay up to date on the latest changes. Local electrical codes may also apply to the installation and use of receptacles. These codes may be more stringent than the NEC requirements. It is important to check with your local building department to determine the applicable codes in your area. Licensed electrician. If you are not comfortable working with electricity, it is best to hire a licensed electrician to install or repair receptacles. A licensed electrician has the knowledge and experience to do the job safely and correctly. Before starting any electrical work, always disconnect the power to the circuit at the circuit breaker panel. This will help to prevent electrical shock. Use a voltage tester to verify that the power is off before touching any wires. Wear appropriate personal protective equipment, such as safety glasses and gloves, when working with electricity. Never work on electrical equipment while standing in water or on a wet surface. Keep children and pets away from electrical work areas. If you are unsure about any aspect of electrical work, consult with a qualified electrician. Remember that electrical work can be dangerous, and it is important to take all necessary precautions to protect yourself and others. Consider the specific application when determining whether to use a receptacle as a distribution point. In some cases, it may be more appropriate to use a dedicated junction box or other wiring method. For example, if the load is very large or if the wiring is complex, a junction box may be a better choice. Always consider the long-term reliability of the installation. A receptacle that is used as a distribution point may be subjected to more wear and tear than a receptacle that is used for a single device. Therefore, it is important to use a high-quality receptacle and to ensure that it is properly installed and maintained. In addition to the factors discussed above, there are other considerations that may be relevant in specific situations. These considerations may include the type of equipment being connected, the environmental conditions, and the presence of any special hazards. It is important to carefully evaluate all of these factors before deciding whether to use a receptacle as a distribution point. Proper use of extension cords. Extension cords can be used to extend the reach of a receptacle, but it is important to use them safely. Use only extension cords that are rated for the amperage of the connected devices. Avoid using extension cords that are damaged or frayed. Never run extension cords under rugs or carpets, as this can create a fire hazard. Do not overload extension cords by plugging too many devices into them. Ground fault circuit interrupters. Ground fault circuit interrupters, referred to as GFCIs, are designed to protect against electrical shock. GFCIs monitor the current flowing in a circuit and trip the circuit breaker if they detect a ground fault. GFCIs are required in certain locations, such as bathrooms, kitchens, and outdoor areas. It is a good idea to install GFCIs in any location where there is a risk of electrical shock. Arc fault circuit interrupters. Arc fault circuit interrupters, referred to as FCIs, are designed to protect against fires caused by electrical arcs. FCIs monitor the current flowing in a circuit and trip the circuit breaker if they detect an arc fault. FCIs are required in certain locations, such as bedrooms and living rooms. It is a good idea to install FCIs in any location where there is a risk of electrical fires. Surge protection devices. Surge protection devices, referred to as SPD, are designed to protect electronic equipment from damage caused by voltage surges. Voltage surges can be caused by lightning strikes, power outages, and other events. SPD divert excess voltage away from the electronic equipment, preventing damage. It is a good idea to install SPD to protect sensitive electronic equipment such as computers, televisions, and appliances. Regular electrical inspections. Regular electrical inspections can help to identify potential electrical hazards before they cause problems. A qualified electrician can inspect your electrical system and identify any areas that need to be repaired or upgraded. Electrical inspections are recommended at least every 3 to 5 years. Proper labeling of circuits. Proper labeling of circuits can help to prevent confusion and make it easier to troubleshoot electrical problems. Label each circuit breaker in the circuit breaker panel with a description of the devices that it serves. This will make it easier to identify the correct circuit breaker when you need to turn off the power to a specific device. Electrical safety education. Electrical safety education is important for everyone, regardless of their age or experience. Educate yourself and your family about electrical safety hazards and how to avoid them. This can help to prevent electrical accidents and injuries. Remember that electricity is a powerful force and should be treated with respect. By following these safety tips, you can help to prevent electrical accidents and injuries. Consider the use of tamper-resistant receptacles, especially in homes with young children. These receptacles have internal shutters that prevent children from inserting objects into the slots. This can help to prevent electrical shock. Consider the use of weather-resistant receptacles in outdoor locations. These receptacles are designed to withstand the elements and prevent moisture from entering the electrical system. This can help to prevent electrical shock and fire hazards. Proper selection of cord connectors. When using cord and plug connections, select cord connectors that are rated for the amperage and voltage of the circuit. Use connectors that are designed for the specific type of cord being used. Ensure that the connectors are properly installed and tightened to prevent loose connections. The NEC contains specific requirements for the installation and use of cord connectors. These requirements are designed to ensure the safety of people and property. Familiarize yourself with these requirements and follow them carefully. Consider the use of strain relief devices for cord connections. Strain relief devices help to prevent stress on the cord connections, which can lead to loose connections and electrical hazards. Use strain relief devices that are appropriate for the type of cord and connector being used. Inspect cord connections regularly for any signs of damage or wear. Replace any damaged or worn cords or connectors immediately. Ensure that cord connections are properly supported to prevent them from being pulled or strained. Avoid running cords across walkways or doorways where they could be tripped over. When using cord and plug connections in damp or wet locations, use watertight connectors and enclosures. These connectors and enclosures are designed to prevent moisture from entering the electrical system. This can help to prevent electrical shock and fire hazards. If you are unsure about any aspect of cord and plug connections, consult with a qualified electrician. Remember that electrical work can be dangerous, and it is important to take all necessary precautions to protect yourself and others. Pay close attention to the voltage rating of receptacles and devices. Ensure that the voltage rating of the receptacle matches the voltage of the device being connected. Connecting a device to a receptacle with the wrong voltage rating can damage the device and create a fire hazard. Use only receptacles and devices that are listed by a recognized testing laboratory, such as Underwriters Laboratories, referred to as UL. Listed products have been tested and certified to meet safety standards. Avoid using counterfeit or unlisted electrical products, as they may not meet safety standards and could be dangerous. When replacing receptacles, use only receptacles that are of the same type and rating as the original receptacle. Do not replace a standard receptacle with a GFCI receptacle unless the circuit is properly wired for GFCI protection. If you are unsure about the correct type of receptacle to use, consult with a qualified electrician. Proper use of multi-outlet adapters. Multi-outlet adapters can be used to plug multiple devices into a single receptacle, but it is important to use them safely. Use only multi-outlet adapters that are listed by a recognized testing laboratory. Avoid overloading multi-outlet adapters by plugging too many devices into them. Do not use multi-outlet adapters that are damaged or frayed. When using multi-outlet adapters, ensure that the total amperage of all connected devices does not exceed the amperage rating of the receptacle. This information can usually be found on a sticker on the receptacle. Overloading a receptacle can cause it to overheat and potentially start a fire. Avoid using multi-outlet adapters to connect high-power devices, such as space heaters or air conditioners. These devices should be plugged directly into a receptacle. Do not use multi-outlet adapters in damp or wet locations. Use caution when using multi-outlet adapters with power strips. Power strips provide additional outlets and surge protection. However, it is important to avoid overloading power strips by plugging too many devices into them. Ensure that the total amperage of all connected devices does not exceed the amperage rating of the power strip. When using power strips, avoid daisy chaining them together. Daisy chaining power strips can overload the circuit and create a fire hazard. Inspect power strips regularly for any signs of damage or wear. Replace any damaged or worn power strips immediately. Consider using a power strip with a built-in circuit breaker. A circuit breaker will trip and shut off the power if the power strip is overloaded. This can help to prevent electrical fires. If you are unsure about any aspect of multi-outlet adapters or power strips, consult with a qualified electrician. Remember that electrical work can be dangerous, and it is important to take all necessary precautions to protect yourself and others.